And some appraisers, I believe, think that if they ignore or push against AI, that it will go away. Friends, it's not going away. AI is going to change the world and the appraisal profession more dramatically than any other change we have ever seen.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the AppraiserCoach podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
If you followed this podcast for any amount of time, you know that I am not afraid of blowback. I'm not afraid to say what needs to be said. And today, my friends, is one of those days that I've had this on my mind for several weeks now. In fact, I've had it on my mind since episode number 1059. If you'll remember, by the way, that was the most listened to episode of 2025. Most listened to episode on the Appraiser Coach podcast of 2025 was episode number 1059, and it was titled, "It's Disgusting and Shameful to Promote the Use of AI in Appraising." Now, that title did not come from me, Dustin Harris. That title, no, it didn't come from AI either. That came from an individual on Facebook, a lovely individual who, that was his post. I had posted, I think it was a workshop that I was doing at the time to teach AI to appraisers. And his comment under the workshop ad in Facebook, or the post, I don't know if it was an ad or a post, was, quote, it's disgusting and shameful to promote the use of AI in appraising. Now, I'm not going to rehash episode number 1059. Go back and listen to it. It's 21 minutes. You can turn it on double speed. That makes it 10 and a half minutes. I encourage you to listen to it because that episode was intentional. It was me addressing this big concern, and this individual, I think his name was Marshall, if I remember correctly. Marshall's concern is not isolated. If it was, I would have ignored it. This is a common theme that I am seeing from multiple appraisers, and it exposes fear, ignorance, a knee-jerk moral panic when it comes to the changes that are occurring in the world, but specifically to the appraisal profession. And some appraisers, and I'm somewhat putting words in their mouth, but the comments that I hear from appraisers, some appraisers, I believe, think that if they ignore or push against AI, that it will go away. Friends, it's not going away. AI is going to change the world and the appraisal profession more dramatically than any other change we have ever seen. And I know some of you are probably sick and tired of hearing about AI from Dustin Harris, the Appraiser Coach. Okay. Admittedly, I have a bit of a passion for AI. Admittedly, you're not the only one that's tired of hearing about AI from Dustin Harris. My dear sweet bride of 30 years also tells me often to shut my mouth about AI. Are you really talking to AI again? Are you really talking about AI? I get it. Okay. But folks, today is going to be a grown-up conversation about AI, where it's going, where it's headed, what it's going to do. And I am going to actually take the complete opposite view today from episode number 1059. It's disgusting and shameful to promote the use of AI in appraising. And I'm actually going to claim, are you ready for this? This is going to be a bold claim, I believe, but I believe I'm going to support it today. So don't turn it off after I make the claim. Please listen to my support. Don't just look at the value on the appraisal report, right? Look at the comps, look at the adjustments, look at the support for the adjustments, because I think I'm going to back up this claim. And the claim is this: refusing to learn AI is an ethical failure for appraisers. Okay? So again, the claim on 1059, it's disgusting and shameful to promote the use of AI in appraising. My claim today: refusing to learn AI and utilize it in appraising is an ethical, and I'm almost going to say a USPAP compliant issue. I know. Hold on to your horses, folks. Here we go. Okay. Some claim that AI use in appraisal is unethical. Folks, I kind of get where they're coming from. But honestly, folks, as I mentioned in 1059 and as I mentioned at the beginning of this episode, that comes from a place of fear, ignorance, and honestly, just not fully understanding what AI is. One of the biggest issues that I see come up often is the confidentiality thing. Okay. And people quote it all the time. When I talk about how I use AI and that I'll upload my appraisal reports to AI and have it review it, and I will upload my grid to AI and I'll have it, help me to determine adjustments, or that I will put in data from the MLS. And when I mention this publicly, not within my all-star team and dream team, because folks, they get it. Sorry to just call them out like that, but they're kind of cool. They get it. Okay. So, but when I talk about it publicly, I often get kickback from appraisers who say, oh, confidentiality, you can't share that to the world. Folks, if you think that uploading an appraisal report to Claude or ChatGPT or Gemini or Perplexity or name your LLM of choice is a violation of confidentiality, first of all, you don't understand confidentiality rule. And secondly, you do not, and I can stand very firmly on this claim, you do not understand AI, because that is not how it works. Okay, so let's put that one aside. I'm not going to focus on, I've addressed that issue before here on this microphone. Okay, let's put that one aside for now, the confidentiality side. The other argument that I think appraisers are making is that somehow AI makes us lazy. Somehow AI is pushing us to cut corners. And again, I will say this very confidently. If that is your view, by the way, I respect opinions of all people. I really do. I have gotten better as a podcaster because I listen to my critics, most of them. Go seek the truth. What I don't understand is our unwillingness as appraisers to learn, grow, and develop new ideas. Okay, it's been an issue the 15 plus years that I've been doing coaching work, that we get somehow grounded in what we think we know. And that was a purposeful phrase, by the way. We think we know certain things. And when someone tells us something different that is outside the box of what we believe or we believe to be true, then all of a sudden it's quote unquote wrong. It's not, maybe I should rethink this, or maybe I should look at this in a different way, or boy, I've never heard of that. That's interesting. Tell me more. It's, oh, that's not okay. That's not right. And this idea, first of all, the confidentiality thing, which we already addressed and put to bed. But secondly, the idea that somehow AI is causing us to become lazy. Folks, let me just say emphatically, if you believe AI makes you lazy, you are not using AI. Period. Now you might say, oh, Dustin, I go in there and I ask ChatGPT and it tells me this and it just makes me lazy. Okay, folks, if that's how you're using AI, then again, I stand on the comment that I made earlier. You're not using AI. You might be playing with AI. You might be creating things in a sandbox, but you are not truly using AI if you're simply using it like Google. If you are asking it questions and getting answers, or you're throwing in your text and getting it improved. Certainly that is helpful. Don't get me wrong. I use it that way as well. But if that's the only way that you're using it, I can understand why you think that using AI is lazy. Folks, I don't work harder with my mind than when I'm working with AI. Let me state that a little different way. My brain works hardest. I think deeply and on the most deep level when I'm using AI properly. It is not an easy thing to do. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is to be a strategic partner and allow you, the human, to be that much better. And that's how I use AI in appraisal. Okay. And that's how I believe that any appraiser should use AI. So this idea that AI AI use in appraisal is unethical, folks, I'm sorry, I hold the exact opposite view. And that's where I want to go today. That refusing to learn AI is an ethical, yes, I mean that word, an ethical failure on the part of appraisers. I'm going to tell you why and support my opinion when we get back from the break. First, I want to pause and remind you of a couple of wonderful, wonderful companies. One of them is my good friends at Working RE Magazine. I say my good friends, folks, because they literally are my friends. I've had dinner, lunch, and had multiple long conversations with my good friend, Mr. Isaac Peck, over at Working RE. And I can tell you from a personal standpoint that this guy gets it. Isaac is not an appraiser. He might as well be. He knows so much about appraising, but he loves the people in the appraisal world. And he's there to bring that information, what's going on in your world, to the forefront. And it's free. Just go to workingre.com, folks, to learn more. Again, workingre.com. My good friends over at True Footage have created an amazing program. And I do mean amazing. AI is amazing. We're talking about AI today, folks. AI is amazing, right? So is a program called True Tracks. True Tracks will allow you to be able to speed up, not get lazy, right? Still you, still making the decisions, but the system, the software, the program will allow you to define your market area better, find and use comps better, this is such a key. Support your adjustments, folks. When you put $65 a square foot on that report and someone asks you, where did that number come from? Do you have an answer for that? Well, if you're using True Tracks, you absolutely do. In fact, you welcome those questions because you can't wait to say, oh yeah, and here it is. True Tracks is available at truefootage.tech/tools. All right, folks, welcome back. We are talking today about this moral, ethical dilemma of AI. And again, I want to state emphatically, I get it. Okay, I'm not trying to throw appraisers under the bus who have concern and skepticism when it comes to AI. I did too. Okay, here's what happens, folks, when you educate yourself. You're going to go from skepticism to understanding to using when it comes to AI. Okay, no, that was not a recipe for drugs. Okay, skepticism to understanding to use. Okay, when you first learn about AI, I thought this is weird, it's different, it's scary, it's fill in the blank, all of those words, right? I get it when appraisers have that concern. But folks, here's my concern. Don't stop there. If you stop there and say, oh, I looked at it, it looks freaky, it hallucinates, it lies to you, I can get myself in trouble using it, it's lazy, it means I'm no longer an appraiser, it's going to replace my job. Folks, if you stop there and don't educate yourself beyond that, you're going to end up not using it and you're going to end up in trouble. Okay, there's a quote that I've had up for several weeks behind me. I'm going to turn around slightly and read it. Okay, this is from Satya Nadella. Okay, I think she's the CEO of Microsoft, of Walmart, maybe Walmart. AI won't replace people, but people using AI will replace people who do. I believe that wholeheartedly. Not only that, folks, but I believe it is an ethical failure on appraisers to miss the boat when it comes to AI. Okay, let's talk USPAP for just a little bit. I did not purposely invite Tim Anderson on this program today because I highly respect Tim Anderson, and today I knew I was going to be a little bit controversial, and I didn't want to put him in an awkward situation. Though knowing Tim the way that I do, I can't speak for him, but I think he would have welcomed the opportunity. Okay, love you, Tim, but I wanted to leave you out on this one because I didn't want to say anything that you may not agree with. Okay, I'm going to take this whole. In other words, I'm shouldering the whole burden of what's being said today. Okay, but let's talk USPAP. Now, I want to be very clear. I'm not a USPAP instructor. I'm not a USPAP expert. I'm not a USPAP anything. Okay, I take USPAP every couple of years and I do my update. Okay, and I believe I follow USPAP in my appraisal work. Hopefully, cross my fingers. Okay, but here's the thing that I do know about USPAP. USPAP does not care about tools. Okay, it doesn't say whether or not you can use true footage tech tools in USPAP at all. It doesn't say what software vendor that you should be using for your appraisal reports. Okay, it does not tell us how to get our numbers. It does not tell us how to go about any of that. Right? USPAP does not care about tools. USPAP cares about outcomes. Okay, it actually cares about three very important things: competency, credibility, and due diligence or due care. Okay? There's no carve out for, well, I don't like technology, therefore fill in the blank. Okay? I want you to think about that for just a second. USPAP cares about competency, credibility, and due care. It doesn't care about how you get there. Okay? Let's go one step further. Let's talk about the competency rule for just a minute. Okay? Competency requires that you have knowledge, that you have experience, and you have skill. Okay? In 2025 and 2026, AI is no longer optional knowledge. Let me repeat that. The reason I'm bringing USPAP into this today is because I believe USPAP cares about competency, and competency requires knowledge. And in 2026, AI and knowing AI is no longer optional. Refusing to learn it is choosing ignorance. Choosing ignorance violates competency, full stop. Yes, I'm pausing for effect. I want that to sink in for a little bit. All right, let's move on to the scope of work rule. Okay, scope of work must reflect what peers consider reasonable. Okay, you've heard this 1,000 times. What are your peers doing? Okay, I'm sorry, folks. Well, I'm not sorry. Sorry, not sorry. AI is now part of a standard workflow for appraisers. And you're going to say, well, I'm not using it. And I'm going to say you're the minority these days. I traveled the country in 2025, and I'll continue to do so in 2026, teaching AI, teaching appraisers AI. Okay? And I can tell you with confidence that your peers are using AI. Okay? If you've got 40 appraisers in your little, niche market, 30 of them are using AI at this point. If you're not, you are not in the majority. You can no longer stand on your laurels and say, appraisers, it's unethical to use AI and I'm not going to use AI, because you will be the outlier. Okay? AI is now a part of the standard workflow for data review, for consistency checks, for error detection, for market trend analysis. And folks, even if your peers were not using it, your clients are. You know where these revision requests are coming from, folks? They're not a human being anymore. So if you don't understand where it's coming from, right? If you don't understand where those revisions and those questions are coming from and the quality checks are coming from, folks, you are missing the boat. Ignoring available tools that reduce error is a scope failure, in my opinion. Okay? It's negligence. It's unethical. Speaking of unethical, I want to close with the ethical rule. Close this part talking USPAP with the ethics rule. Okay? Ethics rule equals due care. Due care means minimizing mistakes and maximizing reliability. Let me repeat that. Due care, in my opinion, means minimizing mistakes and maximizing reliability. If you understand how to use AI, AI will do both of those things. Let me repeat. Using AI properly will minimize mistakes, not increase them, as some people claim, and maximize reliability, not decrease it, like some people claim. Refusing AI because of ideology, number one, increases risk. Number two, increases errors. And number three, increases review exposure. That is not ethical restraint. That is professional laziness. All right. Now, let's get fun for just a little bit. Address the fear, okay? Again, AI does not replace your judgment. It doesn't. If you think that, you don't understand it. It audits your judgment. It checks your blind spots. People afraid of AI are afraid of exposure, okay? The loudest critics usually, number one, don't understand it. Number two, haven't used it. And number three, can't articulate the risk. When you actually ask them what they're fearful of, they either can't say or they're wrong. Okay, let me repeat that. Whenever someone criticizes AI and I challenge them and say, what is it about AI that you're concerned about? They either don't answer or their answer is flat out wrong. Okay, so again, I reckon back to episode number 1059, the most listened to Appraiser Coach podcast episode last year, and I called out the hysteria. This episode corrects the record completely. USPAP does not prohibit AI. USPAP implicitly demands mastery of tools that improve credibility. Okay? Ethics is not about clinging to the past. Well, it works. We've been using it for years, Dustin, and it works. Okay, with that same mentality, when I visited an individual in Benson, Utah, years ago at his house, an appraiser, and he was using a typewriter, I think it was 1999, and I said, why are you not using a computer? Why are you not on the internet? And he said, well, this works. Okay, it's the same argument, folks, and I'm sorry, that to me is an ethical failure. If you're not learning AI right now, you're behind, you're exposed, and frankly, you're on the wrong side of professional responsibility. How's that? All right, folks, if you want to know more about AI, it is my honor, privilege, pleasure. I have so much enjoyed the last couple of years teaching AI to appraisers, and I want to share something really, really fun right now. We just added what we are calling the AI Appraiser Academy. And guess what? It is absolutely 100% free for All-Star Team members. The $49 a month that goes to the community, the newsletter, the monthly meeting with the coach, the personal touch, the discounts on the other products, all of these things, still $49 a month. Plus, we just added a monthly AI Appraiser Academy where every single month, live, in person, I sit in this computer, I turn on my screen, we dive into ChatGPT or Gemini or Manus or Notebook LM, and we actually use AI in appraisal work. It's 100% free for users of the All-Star Team. I invite you to join me. You get all of those other benefits, plus you get to learn AI with me. I can't wait to teach more. Thank you for joining me, friends, and go create some value.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit TheAppraiserCoach.com and sign up for the All-Star Team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.